Call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Dunlap.
Yes.
Commissioner Walde.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright. I do not see him. Commissioner Caldwell. And Commissioner Medina Hernandez.
Here.
Okay, and Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shall I read the public notice?
Yes.
Notice of the meeting was given in the following manner. Notice of the meeting was transmitted to the Home News Tribune. Said notice of the meeting and a copy of the agenda were filed in the office of City Clerk on May 22nd, May 22nd, 2020. And said notice of meeting and a copy of the agenda were promptly posted on the announcement board in the lobby of City Hall, 78 Bayard Street in Brunswick, New Jersey, at least 48 hours prior to the day of this meeting. You have the April minutes for consideration.
Yes.
You need a motion and a second.
Okay. Motion?
Okay. Roll call. Ready, check. Commissioner Jones?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell? And Chair.
Yes.
Okay, we have a redevelopment resolution, Chair. Shall I, I'm sorry. My report will stand. I don't believe there are any committee reports, and we have no unfinished business at this time.
Okay.
I have a question on the committee report.
Yes.
On this report, on Hoffman project, the senior project, you say there is a request for required demolition. Would that take a long time to get approval by her?
So, yeah, in order to do the request for they call it demo dispo, but we've already demolished that building.
Yeah.
We essentially have to submit the plan for the final plan for rebuilding. We couldn't do that until we got the HMFA award.
Okay.
Now that we have the award, we're still, the state's closed at this point, but prior to them closing, they had just made the award. So we were under the impression that they were still trying to close us by December of this year. I don't know if that's going to be possible now with all of the deals, because everyone has kind of got pushed back because of the closure. So when they do come back up and get up and running, we'll have a meeting with HMFA and kind of see where we are in the pecking order. But I know they had projects that stalled.
Just to make sure, especially the HMFA, they have next station, because you have like 2 years on this project.
Yes. Yeah, they had mentioned something about automatic extensions before they closed, and they said they were going to be granting automatic extensions, but I guess no one's ever had to do this before, so they're aware of it, and they're aware that there are 5 or 6 projects that were in this last round, as well as the previous projects, some of which didn't close by their closing dates as well.
Another question on the budget is payroll applying for other funds, and you reported that they're applying for some.
I'm sorry, say it again, Gabriel?
Penrose, which is the developer, right?
Yes, Penrose is the developer for that project.
They're applying for additional funds?
They're applying for Federal Home Loan Bank funds, as well as some other gap funding, but they had all of their financial transaction summaries in. Again, a lot of those now are kind of in limbo, I guess, because they're waiting to see what happens with the bond market. But I think many of those development projects are gonna have to be revised.
All right, thanks.
Chair, you ready for me to read Resolution 19?
Yes.
Resolution 19, acting as redevelopment agency, is a resolution approving amended and restated redevelopment agreement, including a concept plan between New Brunswick, Jersey Urban Renewal LLC, NB-JUR, and Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick, acting as redevelopment agency, for development in Jersey Handy redevelopment area, and approving the release of redeveloper from redeveloping portion of the site and terminating the redevelopment agreement dated September 25, 2019, and the terms and conditions set forth therein. I need a motion and a second before we open up. I'm sorry, who moved?
Move, you go.
Yurgo, okay. Second?
Second.
Second, okay. Chair, we have John Hoffman here, who's special counsel.
Good evening, everybody. You may remember a couple of months ago, we approved a redevelopment project on this site. The site is where the Walgreens building is, and then there's a large area which is open next to it. At that time, the developer wanted to build a small warehouse, a small retail building, a 212,000 square foot office building, 192 units of housing, and a 420 car parking garage. And we approved both the redeveloper, which was the same as the one who developed the project before, and the redevelopment agreement. Subsequently, the Board of Education has requested that 4.3 acres of the site, which is now vacant, and upon which a lot of the development was going to be built, should be used for a new elementary school, and the redeveloper has advised that they will be conveying the property to the Board of Education. The original site, which is right next to this vacant site, it has the Walgreens on it, is where they proposed to build the warehouse and a small retail, which will probably be a restaurant building. It's the same, this project is a mini of the other, it's the same two buildings that you approved before. There was the resolution that we have therefore asks for the following: that the school site be removed from the project site, and you have a map showing the school site, it's about 4.3 acres. Accept the redeveloper's request to relinquish its rights to construct the mixed-use development as shown on a prior concept plan, that the redevelopment agreement dated September 25th relating to the larger project, and the concept plan there, concept plan 2 was called, is being terminated, and terms and conditions are deemed null and void, that the new concept plan, which has been filed, which only shows the two small buildings, the warehouse about 7,800 square feet, and the retail about 3,800 square feet, that would be approved, and that the redevelopment agreement, the stated redevelopment agreement would also be approved. The only difference between this redevelopment agreement and the redevelopment agreement before is, of course, the scope of the project, which is massively reduced. The cost of the project went from over 20 million to approximately 1 million, and the timing of the construction of the project. Other than that, all the terms of the redevelopment agreement are basically the same. Tom Kelso is here as a representative, the attorney for the developer, to answer any questions. I can also answer any questions if you have.
Yes, members of the board, Thomas Kelso on behalf of the New Brunswick Urban Renewal LLC. I don't have much to add to what John's already indicated to you. Obviously, the redeveloper has agreed to relinquish those redevelopment rights in order to support the Board of Education and these plans to redevelop that site for the new elementary school. So what remains, still part of this redevelopment agreement, is what was essentially the first phase of this overall redevelopment project. Most of which has already been constructed. I think most of you are aware that the Walgreens is there. The strip center retail is existing and operating, as well as there is an existing bank pad which is currently vacant. The other two portions of this redevelopment area involve a small store facility, and as well as a pad for what was described as a fast food development. You should note that this concept plan is kind of unusual where we are, because we're calling this the concept plan, but all of this plan has already been approved for site plan approval by the planning board. Usually we're here having to approve a concept and then we go to the planning board, because of the unusual timing of this and what's occurred, what's remaining for the developer to finish is already approved. So by the planning board. So there's not a lot more to really describe But John's indicating they give a construction schedule which essentially accelerates completion and the identification of equity and finance part of what would be remaining to build. Again, it's we're really here in order to be able to support the city's effort with regard to the school, but certainly my client, intends to finish the redevelopment project as it has already been. And that's it. We're here for questions. Mr. Ron Ellenbach, who's sitting right in the middle of my gallery. He's here if you have any particular questions with regard to the details of the project.
I have two questions. I went through the redevelopment agreement. You already seen the commercial, the residential, and the parking. After waiting for so long, is this beneficial for the developer to go ahead in the smaller project?
I'm not sure I follow you, but the reality is this is being reduced in order to accommodate the Board of Education and the city's initiative with regard to the new school. But what remains still fits nicely with regard to a compact development site that contains the existing retail, additional retail, the bank pad, and storage. And again, it's been vetted by the planning board and the city with regard to its functionality, even with the school being developed next to it. Obviously, I think up until this point in time, my client intended to move forward with the other development, which included a residential, a parking garage, and a medical office. But under the circumstances, the developer has agreed to relinquish moving forward with that in order to assist the city in its efforts to build the school.
I support that. It's good that they're building the school. The second question I had, I think in phase one, there was a plan to do grocery, but they changed that plan because there was a grocery downtown. Now the downtown grocery is gone. Is there any plan to come up with a grocery?
Well, you wouldn't be able to do a grocery store on this site, what's remaining. It's not big enough. Remember, if you're looking at the concept plans, 3 of those 5 facilities are already built. So there is not enough room to do the supermarket. Again, the Walgreens is there, the bank pad is there, and the strip center is over there. So there's very little left remaining to build. If the city was to look to another supermarket initiative, they would have to do it in another location. But you're right. I mean, at one point in time, it was part of a phase that the developer wished to be able to accomplish with a supermarket. But the supermarket industry is very difficult to pin down, and I know the city looked to the wellness center supermarket as what would have been a great addition to the downtown. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out. But,
those are my questions. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, she's nodding.
Good evening, Board. Charles Cradaville, New Brunswick today. I want to ask.
you can't.
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, hold on. I don't want to blow out this speaker. Can you hear now?
A little bit better.
Maybe if I just come a little.
Yeah.
So, good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Wanted to ask, I've read some media reports about this and seen that apparently 4.3 acres would be gifted or donated to the school district, ostensibly in exchange for the Lincoln Annex School. No representative of the developer has been quoted as saying that it is a free gift, a donation. Others have said that. But I'm just confirming, while we have the counsel for the developer and Mr. Allenbach, can you confirm that the 4.3 acres would be given to the school district?
My understanding is it's going to be donated for the project's development, yes.
Donated at no cost. And is there any insight into what contaminants are on the site and what the current status of remediation is?
I don't have specifics with regard to that. I don't know if Ron does, but certainly they would need to be, there has been some remediation there. I know in the past, the balance of the remedial work would need to be completed and would have to be done to DEP residential standards in order to build the school.
Of course. And can you tell me how many parcels of land are part of that 4.3 acres that would be gifted to the district? Is it just one parcel or is it multiple?
When we say parcels, I believe that there are actually two separate lots, one of which was created through a condominium form of ownership, and another is a separate tax lot. So there would be a need to subdivide and consolidate lots.
Okay. I'm just curious because I do want to, since no one has the answers of what contaminants are present on the site, I want to do my homework and I want to make sure I'm looking at the right sites. There's 50 Jersey Avenue, and then there's also, I believe, 350 Comstock Street, which are, I believe, both owned by this developer. Can you confirm whether those two sites or those two addresses are both part of the gift to the district, or is one of them the one you're developing and one of them the one you're giving?
No,
Tom, you want me to answer that, I can. So the one you referred to as the Handy Street, right now the entire site that's developed comprises of one overall lot. Block 185.01, lot 1.01, which is where the strip center, the Walgreens, the bank, the future fast food, and the flex warehouse or the warehouse building within the set. What you're referring to as Comstock is the piece that we bought from the party that hasn't been consolidated yet. So there is going to have to be a lot consolidation, a minor subdivision to separate what we currently have for our development versus what is being donated to the Board of Education.
Gotcha. So am I hearing that all of Comstock Street is going to go to the district?
Comstock Street was vacated a number of years ago.
Right, but I mean the lot 350 Comstock Street, is that entirely going to the district and then part of 50 Jersey?
That's my understanding.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe, Charlie, the best way for me to describe it is if you stood at Hale Street, it's all the property
To the right.
Jersey Avenue, all the way back to the railroad, from Hale Street, past Comstock Street, over to Delavan Street. Except for I think there are a total of 3 houses at the corner of Delavan and Jersey Avenue. They are not included. They are not part of this project, nor have they ever been.
Understood. And just so I'm clear on what is still moving forward, your client's going to build a fast food restaurant and a warehouse. And
It's not really a warehouse. It's really, I think it's 4 storage cubicles right along the railroad trestle.
We refer to it as flex warehouse.
flex warehouse space. Okay. And I guess I just want to ask when these changes happen, because Mr. Kelso will remember I asked him about this exact matter and whether or not they were, your client was still going to move ahead with this at the last housing meeting last month, and was told that full steam ahead, you're still going ahead with the original plan. And now, of course, over the past month, I read all these reports that there's a plan for a school there. And can you just tell me when did this change come about? And
The question is what's the developer's intent? And I said, as far as I knew, they were moving forward. Yes.
okay, so within the past month is when this change happened, or when you were notified of it?
I can't tell you that. I don't have all the answers to that, Charlie. I don't know. I can only tell you what I know.
Okay, well, I will just close with a brief comment and let the board members know, at least for the new member, that in the past, when this very redevelopment proposal came forward, I was speaking about the need for additional schools, additional classroom space in our neighborhood, and I thought that this might be one of the last big pieces of land that could potentially be home to a school. So part of me is very happy to see that a school might get built there, but certainly I want to be clear that I never expected or advocated for it to come at the expense of the Lincoln Annex School, which opened just less than 4 years ago in the neighborhood and is doing quite well. So I'm dismayed that this is all part of a scheme to close that school. At the same time as I'm pleased to see plans for a new school, I'm also concerned about the remediation of the site, how long that will take, and whether it's possible to make it a safe site for a school. And I haven't gotten the adequate answers yet from Mr. Kelso, you know I've been going to every governing body I can to speak about this, and no one has the answers as far as what contaminants are there and what's going to be done about it and how long it'll take. And so I'm very concerned about this moving forward. I'm also concerned about Mr. Hoffman's involvement, with him being a Robert Wood Johnson board member, and this all being part of an ultimate scheme to benefit one of Mr. Kelso's other clients, Devco, in their efforts to build the expansion of the Robert Wood campus onto the Lincoln Annex site. And so I would ask that the board members think twice before approving this, and if you don't want to lose a school in order to get a school, that you would vote against this today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Thank you.
Chair, so, you ready? Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell? I'm sorry?
Abstain.
Abstain? Chair, you're approving that abstention?
Yes.
Okay. And Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution number, thank you all. Resolution number 20 is a resolution authorizing and approving the payment of bills for the month of May 2020.
Move.
I'm sorry, who moved?
Second. Yurgo.
Yurgo moved and Kevin seconded.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
you ready?
Go.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Yes.
And Chair.
Yes.
Resolution number 21 is a resolution authorizing and approving the State of New Jersey budget and HUD budget for all programs and operations of the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick for FYE 6/30/21.
Move.
Move.
The chair, you moved? And
Yes, I did.
that was Kevin seconded, right?
That was Kevin second.
Just a matter of information, Chair, the budget is flatlined because we don't have amounts from HUD on subsidy, but the state is still requiring us to submit it. So we may be revisiting a budget, in fact, I will tell you, we will be revisiting a budget revision in the fall once we determine what we are actually going to have from the federal government.
Okay.
So expect another resolution, even though we're doing this resolution tonight, as well as a late submission to the state as they require it. But we already know there's going to be a revision. So, Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Yes.
And Chair?
Yes.
All right, resolution number 22 is a piggyback on resolution 21. Is a resolution approving the late submission of the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick budget for FYE 6/30/21.
So
So
moved.
move.
Oh, all right, and a second?
Second.
Okay. Again, same reason. Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell? And Chair.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I don't have anyone in the waiting room here, okay? And then the final resolution number 23, is a resolution authorizing and approving a consent to assignment of HAP contract as security for FNMA financing for Providence Square. As you recall, we do have 40 project-based vouchers there. It is allowable underneath the contract that should they decide to go for financing, they have the ability to do this, and one of the requirements is that the board recognize that it is allowing that to happen. They may or may not choose to do this, but it's a requirement that the board, that they present a resolution saying that they have the authority to, should they decide to do it. Any questions? Okay, Commissioner Jones?
Yeah.
Commissioner Dunglap?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde? Commissioner Caldwell?
Yes.
And Chair?
Yes,
Okay, that's my report.
thank you. Okay, public comment?
Yes,
Please.
he's got to come to the camera, there he is.
Good evening once again, Charles Prattville, New Brunswick today. I did want to ask about the Executive Director's report. That's an item that's usually on the agenda. For the past 2 meetings, it hasn't been. I know it's actually even mentioned in the bylaws that it's required. Can you tell me when might we expect an Executive Director's report to return to the agenda? And could you at least just give us an update on the operations of the authority?
Sure, I gave my report in the beginning when I said report of the Secretary and committee reports. I said my report will stand because it goes in writing. But in summary, we continue to operate underneath the COVID-19 requirements. We continue to meet with residents whenever required. Everybody has to wear face masks coming in. We're still working through a lot of the transitions with people on their changes in funding. As you may recall, last month we didn't have that many residents that had hit on their income losses yet. This month we are getting those calls to make revisions. On the Section 8 program in particular, we are also working with some of our public housing residents who are going through some challenges, in addition to allowing some access because of the technology requirements for submissions of unemployment and some other things. Residents don't necessarily have that, so we do allow on a scheduled basis people to come in and utilize our computers. We do clean them. They get treated, obviously, before and after any public use, and we're continuing to provide the services as best we can. But if you look at the agenda, we actually moved it into what it had said before, so it doesn't come at the end, even though I was giving it at the end. That was at the chair's request.
The chair being Mr. Giorgiani.
Giorgiani, correct,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, I don't see why it couldn't have been separate, but nevertheless, thank you for answering my question. I hope that everybody on the staff is doing okay. Do you have an idea of what the financial impact is going to be? For instance, I know the parking authority laid people off. Are you laying people off, furloughs, anything like that, or is workforce intact?
Chair, at this time, we don't anticipate doing layoffs, but we're currently operating under a HUD budget that is a carryover. So HUD has provided us with operating subsidy through June, at which point we'll figure out what we're getting, even though they have a budget that's approved through September 30th. To my knowledge, they have not marked up the proposed budget going forward, even though it had some pretty drastic cuts to the HUD programs proposed. Our hope is that the Senate will do what they did last time, which is revigorate that budget and actually give us what we needed just to basically operate the minimum program, plus a little bit of money for some of the capital improvements that we needed. My hope is that'll happen again, and depending on the election, obviously, we may see some differences in those anemic budget allocations for the program.
Okay.
Thank you. And I wanted to follow up on an issue I brought up before and asked about via email. St. Peter's University Hospital, they were granted a 5th extension for their property redevelopment. It expired in October of last year. And I just wanted to ask what the update is on their redevelopment plan. Are they in compliance? Are they going to have to, what's the status of that site?
Yeah,
It's been abandoned a long time.
Correct. So we actually have been in communication with them. I know they've spoken with special counsel. I'm in a position to say now that their redevelopment agreement will be terminated. So I don't know what their future plans are, but that'll be an action taken by the board, I suspect, before the July annual meeting. So it'll either be this in the June meeting or the July meeting.
Thank you very much. And,
Sure.
And I'll just close with a brief comment. Tonight the board did approve this additional step towards what would ultimately be demolishing the Lincoln Annex School. And I just want to point out that the track record of many of the developers, including the one involved there, don't inspire confidence about the ability for them to deliver on what they are promising this board and have promised in the past. The St. Peter's property is a good example. That was a school that was closed sold to a developer, and the developer failed to deliver on what they had promised this board and the public they were going to do there, and now we have a vacant, abandoned school in our neighborhood, and unfortunately that's the same neighborhood that's served by the Lincoln Annex, so let's not continue down the wrong direction. The details matter. I can understand how it would sound good to approve this thing, and it sounds like they're doing the Board of Ed a great favor by giving them this land, but in reality it's contaminated land that no one was able to answer my questions about the contaminants there, and it's also going to be a displacement of 700 plus students for an indeterminate period of time where they have a school now, they're going to lose it for years, and I have no choice but to be against it because I know the details of it, and so as we move forward, I just encourage the board to investigate details, ask questions, and I know some of the commissioners did ask good questions today, and the number one question to ask is what contaminants are on that land, and I think the public deserves answers to that.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Chair, I didn't hear. Okay, yep.
Thank you.
You had okay, Chair, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, to end it up, to end it already.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
You're at the adjournment. Need a motion?
Yes. I need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Walde, was that a second?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap?
Yes.
Commissioner Walde?
Yes.
Commissioner Caldwell?
Yes.
And Chair?
Yes.
All right, thank you all.
All right.
7:16, thank you.
John, don't hang up, please.
Okay?
How are you, Kevin?
All right, thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Chair, you want me to